We are almost getting towards the end of 2025, and there are still a ton of new Xbox and Game Pass games still to come our way before the year closes out. With it being November though, we have quite a few notable releases, mainly being Call of Duty, and of course a few high-profile racing games coming our way. With that though, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's check out the top 15 brand new Xbox and Game Pass games coming our way this November. First up, and actually landing onto Xbox and Game Pass as a day one title, is Football Manager 26, and as someone who usually dives into this series every single year, I'm actually really excited to get my hands on this one. If you remember though, last year's entry actually got cancelled as the team weren't happy with the progress of the game and felt that fans actually needed a better experience. From the leaked screenshots and footage I've seen, it does look as though the dev team are pretty correct, as it really is a night and day difference. Of course, I don't really need to explain what this game really entails, as it's self-explanatory, but if you do want to take charge of your favourite football clubs from around the world, then this game really is for you. It was also great to see that they actually signed the FIFA rights over the past week, which means we should get a World Cup mode sometime next year as well. Satisfactory is arriving onto Xbox consoles this November, and I know many within the Xbox community are actually really excited for this one. It is a first-person open-world automation game that lets you harvest sprawling alien landscapes to basically construct epic assembly lines, customize power systems, and explore with vehicles, jetpacks, and so much more. Since hitting its full 1.0 launch over on PC back in 2024, the game has only gotten bigger, with loads of updates adding gameplay enhancements and also blueprint improvements. Now, for the very first time, all of us Xbox console players can dive into the creative tug-of-war between building the perfect industrial empire and just surviving the wild frontier. Whether you're obsessing over efficient layouts or jetpacking up to explore the world, Satisfactory promises so many hours of addictive content for you to have some satisfying chaos in. November is actually shaping up to be a pretty impressive month though for Xbox Game Pass subscribers. One standout arrival is 1000 X Resist, a sci-fi adventure game that's centered on a watcher named Iris. Basically, when one of her sisters uncovers the discovering truths about their world and is executed for it, Iris begins a journey to uncover what's real and what's been hidden from her throughout time. Blending narrative depth with a very striking visual style, the game has earned quite a lot of strong critical praise and sits with an 86 Metascore over on Metacritic. From reviews, fans also do seem pretty impressed as well, with overwhelmingly positive reviews from over 4,000 players over on Steam. It is a distinctive addition to the Xbox Game Pass lineup, though the abstract storytelling certainly won't appeal to everybody on Xbox consoles. Microids is actually reviving the beloved point-and-click classic known as Syberia, with a complete Xbox remaster that's set to release on the 6th of November. From what's actually been shown to us so far, this basically looks less like a simple upgrade and more like a full-scale remake, much like we saw with the Oblivion remaster earlier this year. The new version though actually promises a dramatic visual overhaul with a lot of refined gameplay and the same emotional storytelling that made the original just so memorable. For those of you unfamiliar with this 2002 adventure, it basically follows a woman called Kate Walker, and she's a lawyer from New York that's tasked with closing the sale of an automaton factory in a small French alpine village. What starts as routine soon evolves into a remarkable journey across snowy Eastern Europe, but I don't want to mention any more as I really don't want to spoil it for you. Are you going to be revisiting Syberia or trying it for the first time on Xbox this month? I'm keen to hear as well if you've ever played this one in the comments below. I actually managed to call this one last month before other outlets out there, and now it's finally official as Whiskerwood will be joining Xbox Game Pass on the 6th of November through Game Preview for Ultimate and PC Game Pass subscribers. It is worth noting though that this one is currently slated for a PC release only, so I do hope that we get a console launch sometime in the near future. If you haven't heard of it though, the game has you helping industrious mice building a new home whilst living under the rule of tyrannical cat overlords. As a city builder though, you'll of course be able to explore the wild lands, cultivate crops and gather resources to keep your mouse folk content, and that's all whilst meeting the demands of their feline masters. It's a quirky concept for sure, and I just really love how unique it feels. A colony sim with mice. It's bloody strange, but then again I'm actually really intrigued to try it when it lands on Xbox for PC. Voidtrain is finally hitting its full 1.0 release on the 7th of November, and it's actually arriving day one onto Xbox Game Pass. Previously, this was available over on Early Access on Steam, and this imaginative adventure places you in the role of an engineer aboard an interdimensional express train travelling through the mysterious void. This is a vast, ever-shifting world packed with strange locations, and a lot, and I mean a lot, of hidden dangers. You'll be able to build, upgrade, and customize your own train, and that's all whilst crafting some pretty cool looking weapons, battling some weird and awful looking hostile creatures and exploring some weird floating islands filled with puzzles and wild fauna. It's a wonderfully weird concept that blends survival, crafting and exploration all into sort of one surreal package. I'm genuinely curious though to see how this one all comes together, and I'll aim to have my review up and ready just before its launch. Another title that's been confirmed for this November is Burrow, and this is an adorable and cozy looking survival game arriving on the 12th of November, and yes, day one onto Xbox Game Pass. It's a softer take on the genre though, as there's no rush or combat heavy stress here. Instead, you actually move entirely at your own pace, customizing your burrow, decorating your home and just rebuilding your life. It kind of gives me Animal Crossing vibes, but obviously a little bit darker in its tone, as you can ultimately perish due to the survival elements. The story though follows your search for your missing aunt, who was meant to care after your childhood home. It's pretty simple but heartfelt, and I can already see this being a perfect indie comfort game. It's going to be great, especially on the ROG Ally, especially if you manage to get your hand on those Xbox devices this year. In a surprise twist, embryonic sim racing game Rennsport will be launching onto Xbox this month, and I was actually quite shocked to see this one arrive. This will release later on about the 13th of November, I believe, and it's concurrently with the version 1.0 PC edition, where the title is actually a free-to-play early access mode at this moment in time. Those of us though on Xbox consoles will finally be able to race against those on PC with cross-play support and also leaderboards, and it's a setting that can be toggled on and off, which is quite nice to see. Progress will also be synced across all three platforms, as it is tied to an individual's racer's Rennsport profile, which is quite interesting. This new game though is using Unreal Engine 5 to many's dismay, but the project was actually first unveiled all the way back in 2022 and has since progressed through a series of closed and open betas to some quite mixed feedback though. The quantity of content available though is actually quite light at the moment, with a mix of real world cars and tracks and community sourced modded venues. I'm kind of hoping we do get some more content within the 1.0 launch, but here's hoping the 13th of November does bring that to us. Then of course we have the very big one this month, Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Even though it's facing quite a lot of mixed reactions from the community, it still will shape up to be one of the biggest releases of this year. Personally, I'm actually most interested in a campaign which shifts the timeline from the 1990s to 2035, and it also brings back that near futuristic style along with David Mason, who's the son of the original Black Ops hero named Alex Mason. I wasn't really impressed by the open beta at all, and I honestly felt it kind of felt pretty dull, but at least there are some changes coming to skill-based matchmaking and other systems. Hopefully the story and the zombies mode can pull it all together, because as a Battlefield fan, those have always been the best parts of Call of Duty for me. The Season 1 roadmap has also been announced though, and it does total 30 maps within the game by the end of the season, which to be honest is quite insane to see with the amount of content. Are you interested in Call of Duty this year? You'll have to let me know down below. Whilst down there though, also make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I do upload Xbox content here every single day, and I have some massive videos on the way over the next few weeks. I also have the 25 days of Xbox coming up for this December, including giveaways, previews and so much more. Thanks again for supporting a totally independent Xbox channel, and let's dive back into the rest of the games for this November. Xbox JRPG and Monster Hunter fans will definitely be licking their lips this month, as Capcom are finally releasing 2 Monster Hunter Stories games, and I can't wait to get my hands on them. On the 14th of November, both Monster Hunter Stories and Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin will launch onto both Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and S consoles, finally marking their long-awaited debut on the Xbox platforms. Unlike the mainline series though, these spin-offs actually focus on befriending monsters and then raising them as monsties and battling alongside them in turn-based combat rather than hunting. You will be able to explore the different vibrant worlds, uncover mysteries, and also face some pretty towering beasts here. These games really are beloved by so many for their anime-inspired style, their expansive roster and monsters, and really deep combat systems, especially for that unique aspect. These games will always remain underrated gems within this franchise, and again, I can't wait to try them out when they finally land onto Xbox this November. It's great seeing so many childhood classics finally making a return, and one game that really stood out to me is SpongeBob SquarePants Titans of the Tide. After the success of the Cosmic Shake, Purple Lamp and THQ Nordic are teaming up once again for another hilarious 3D platformer. The story begins when King Neptune and the Flying Dutchman let their egos clash, plunging Bikini Bottom into supernatural chaos. Only SpongeBob and Patrick of course can restore the order, using loads of their quirky powers to explore Neptune's palace, Mount Bikini and other iconic spots. If this delivers the same charm and polish as we saw with the Cosmic Shake, then we're definitely in for another fantastic SpongeBob adventure on the 18th of November. Up next is Moonlighter 2 The Endless Vault, and it's launching next month on both the Xbox Series X and S consoles, and yes, also day one onto Xbox Game Pass. As the sequel to the beloved action RPG, this one actually takes the adventurer merchant life to a whole new level, with a gorgeous 3D isometric style instead of that 2D fare. This one though is set in a peaceful village known as Tresna, and you'll be splitting your time between crawling dangerous dungeons and running your very own shop. Upon doing a little bit more research for this video though, and even speaking to a few people who have actually previewed this game, it does look to have refined its combat and brings in even more mechanics. It looks like such a great fresh spin on the original formula, and if previews are correct, this one could be way more addictive. It was actually delayed from October, but it's finally coming to Xbox this November, and I'm really excited to get my hands on this indie gem. If you grew up binging Initial D or MF Ghost, then JDM Japanese Drift Master is probably already on your radar. This one was already released on PC earlier this year, and is a real throwback to classic arcade street racers like Ridge Racer and Sega's legendary Initial D cabinets. The game features a huge open world for you to explore from behind the wheel of fully licensed rides, anything from brands like Mazda to Nissan. The best news though, it is drifting its way onto Xbox this November as a timed console exclusive, and I couldn't be more excited to jump into this one. Some Steam members though have actually mentioned that the racing wheel physics do feel a little bit off at the moment, but here's hoping the developers do fine-tune those mechanics prior to the console release dates. As another racing game, and if you're wanting an alternative to Forza Motorsport, or would just like to see some more competition within this space, then Project Motor Racing looks to be right up your alley. This is actually being developed by a brand new team made up of key talents that's basically shaped sim racing's legacy over the past 2 decades. Examples of this though include the likes of GTR, as well as the Project Cars series. This game though is set to feature 70 plus vehicles from 10 racing classes, alongside 27 track layouts, complete with licensed cars from the likes of Lamborghini, Aston Martin and even Audi. They're even saying that the brand new physics engine will have unmatched handling realism alongside dynamic weather with a 24-hour day and night cycle. It looks great so far, and the fact it's got online and single player racing is absolutely great, and I'm really interested to see how this one launches when it lands this November. After a slight delay outside of October, Terminator 2D No Fate is finally landing towards the end of November, and I know this is actually a really anticipated title amongst many of you within the Xbox Nation community. I actually had no idea about this new Terminator game coming to us, and I had to dive in and make sure to do some research, as it does seem pretty interesting. This one of course is a massive love letter to 80s and 90s arcade games, and it seems like the developer's mission was to essentially create the 2T side-scroller we should have had in our youth. In this one though, we'll control Sarah Connor, John Connor and the T-800 in arcade-style missions that retell Terminator 2 Judgment Day, while expanding a little bit within its narrative. I for one have never been a massive 2D platformer fan, or even a Terminator fan, so I probably won't be diving into this one, but I do hope that all of you who are Terminator fans do have a great time with this one when it lands this November. As a bit of bonus news, we do have another couple of updates and DLC coming to 2 massive titles towards the start of November. The first of which is Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, which is dropping onto Xbox on the 10th of November, and it's essentially a new version which contains all of the DLC, about 150 pieces of content from the Creation Club and so much more. It seems like a decent little update, but then again, it's not massively changing the overarching game, and it's just a nice little spruce up at the end of the day. This version though is coming to Xbox Game Pass as well, so it's a nice little update if you do want to dive back into the world of Fallout once again. Then we have the final Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 DLC, which will be arriving on the 11th of November, and it's one that I'm personally really looking forward to. This one's given the name Mysteria Ecclesiae, and you'll be venturing into the Sedolets Monastery to investigate a deadly disease. This one does have a new location of course, containing brand new story quests, some new gear and a few other bits as well. So will you be jumping into this one? I will have a review out prior to its launch, so make sure to subscribe if you're interested in more Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 content here on the channel. What are your thoughts at the moment for the releases this November? Are there any games that you're excited for? You'll have to let me know in the comments below. Remember to smash that like button if you did enjoy, and also subscribe. As I mentioned, I will be uploading a lot of exclusive Xbox content here on the channel within the next couple of weeks. Whilst here though, and if you do want to check out one of my other videos, why don't you check that one out on screen right now? I recently had a chance to cover Ark Raiders and the 10 things you need to know about it before you dive into it this October.